everyone, it's Jean from the Inky Owl Studio. Thanks so much for joining me today. I am working on, or I'm going to be doing a tutorial on a design team project that I'm doing for 49 Dragonflies. And her shop, Barbershop's link is down below. And before I forget, I need to also tell you that if you use the coupon code Inky Owl Studio 2021 in all caps, you will be able to get 10% off your total purchase. So from her shop, and she has something new all the time. So, if you've not checked her recently, check back and see what she's up to. But this is one of her older, well, I shouldn't say older, but one that she's had for a while, but it's beautiful. This is called Winter Vintage Watercolors. And this comes from the kit where it's the Winter Vintage Watercolor backgrounds, and these are winter watercolor backgrounds. So the difference is that these are collage pages from this kit, and this kit is a lot of these beautiful washes that match up with the other kit. And then I'm also using from there Winter Vintage Note Cards selection from that. She also has a ephemera page, and I've cut them up, but you get little pieces of ephemera to decorate your project with, and I've used a few of these as well. So that is what I'm working with. Now when I print this out on my printer at high quality, the tones come out like a grapey shade. This beautiful, I don't know how to extract, oh here. The distress ink that goes really fantastic with it is Dusty Concord. So it is a Concord grape type of a color. It's beautiful. So that is what I'm sort of emphasizing. Now the project that we're working on today is this little mini folio. And here I have one I've completed using those kits. I put a little charm on here using the ephemera page. And it just opens up like so. And the first flip here, we have some journal cards that fit into each side here. We flip it again, and we have some tags. So, and this is like writing space here is what I imagined it to be. So this is just one way to set this little mini folio up. And then here is the back. Love this owl, just really so pretty. So there's different ways that, if you really think about it, you could rearrange the pockets and that sort of thing. But this is just the way that I have done it. And I will now tell you what I'm using. So I am using, for the first time, watercolor paper. And I've never used it before for this kind of project. I've only used it for the intended purpose. But I love the feel of watercolor paper. And this is 90 pounds, 185 GSM, I believe. And it's 9 by 12 sheet. So because these are watercolor backgrounds, that's what made my brain go to this watercolor paper. And I thought, it would be a good challenge for me, because being that I do a lot of vintage, I usually use cream colors. And this way, I'm kind of challenged to use this white. And the kit, of course, goes beautiful with the color of white. Now, I'm going to show you instructions on how to fold this mini folder. But you can use any size sheet. It doesn't have to be the 9 by 12. If you have only 8.5 by 11, you can use that. You could probably use the side of a medium weight file folder. The heavyweight might be too heavy for this, but the regular weight file folder would probably work fine. But your cardstock probably should be on the heavy side, just because it will give you a better results. So I'm using that. So you'll also need, of course, your preferred glue, and I'm using glitter glue. I am, like I said before, using this Distress ink, but you don't have to use Distress ink. And I'm going to be using a ribbon for the tag. So I've got some seam binding. I've got some string to tie it with. And you will need a ruler, and you'll need a stylus pen. Not a pen, just a stylus, sorry. And if you don't have a stylus, you can use a dinner knife from the table. Let's see, I got one here I pulled out. I think it's here in the corner. Here we go. You can get away with using just a regular dinner knife, not the, do not use the serrated edge, but use the flat edge. And put your paper over like a phone book or something that's kind of on the soft side like that, or inside of a book that you don't care much about, but something kind of soft, so that when you use the knife to make the score line, it will make it indent for you. So that's a get around way to do this if you don't have a stylus. And I have actually a scoreboard that I'm going to be using because I think it'll be easier to show you. But a scoreboard, of course, if you have one, is great as well. So those are the basic supplies that you're going to be needing. And so the first thing we're going to do is fold our project. Now you need to find the middle of your paper, and since this is 12 inches, excuse me, 6 inches, of course, is going to be the middle, and this is the long side of the paper. Of course, if you have 8.5 by 11, it's going to be 5.5. It's going to be the middle, but whatever it is in your sheet, you find the middle, and you're going to move 1/8 of an inch to the right of that middle. And you're going to move 1/8 of an inch to the left. So what we're creating here is 1/4 of an inch width of these two score lines right there. And if you're using a ruler and stylus, well, of course you would probably put a little tick mark at your middle and then measure your 1/8 of an inch, and then do that at both ends, and then put down your score. So once you have done that, and hopefully this is showing up okay for you, if you can see those lines, take one of the sides and put it within like 1/4 of an inch to the first score line you come up to. So this little area here is going to match what's here. All right, and then we're going to come down and I'm just going to squeeze it. Just squeeze it, and then I'm going to find out where that particular line is at. So if you're not using a scoreboard, you would just use that place where you squeezed it as your place you'll place your ruler to make your score line. So for me, it's 9 1/8. Like so. Alrighty. So now, let's just make sure that we're straight here. Sometimes these scoreboards sometimes get offline. There we go. Alrighty. Now we're going to measure 1/8 of an inch just to the left of that score line. So for me, it's going to be 9 inches. So we have 9 inches and 9 1/8. All right, so you're going to move to the inside towards the middle to put your second line in. So the first was at the fold, and the second is 1/8 towards the middle down. And so the next side, what I like to do usually is I just take my papers and kind of line them up like this and put a little mark, you know, where was that line at, that middle line? So it was right about there. And come over here and then find out that it is 2 7/8. Now I could have also done this, turned it around and did my 9 1/8 and my 9 inches. All right, so want to be clear about that. So here was what we started with, and when I folded it over, it was 9 1/8. I put in another 1/8 towards the center, and then I just switched this around and did the same thing again, 9 1/8 and 9 inches, so that both of these are even. Now, you know, if you don't have the scoreboard, then of course you're going to do what I just showed you. I'm going to put a tick mark there and then start with my lines over there. So we want them to match, is what our end result is. So now we're going to put one more score line, and this is the short end, and we want to put this down about 2 5/8 of an inch. And this 2 5/8 inch will be the same no matter what size your paper is, because you need about that much for the flats. So now you have your 1/4 of an inch, your 1/8 of an inch on each side, and the score line down here. So that is the folding. And then we're going to burnish the edges. Of course, it's always nice to use a bone folder, and if you don't have a bone folder, you can use the edge of your ruler to do that. It's something hard just to go over those lines. It makes it much crisper. So all the score lines have been burnished, and now we're going to be cutting down on these. These are eventually going to be your little pockets. So what we're going to do, so that the pockets fold up nicely this way, we're going to be cutting slits down here. And what I do is I take my ruler. So let's start with the middle one, because I think you can see that one the best. So you see here's your score lines, here and here. You'll want to make a little cut that's just a hair beyond that score line, and the same over here. And so I just merely take my ruler and I lightly put down a little pencil mark on each side. So it's just a little bit taken off. And I will draw this line then on all those, around all the seams or score lines here, like so. And it's kind of hard to see them, I know, on the camera, but there you be. All right. So once these are drawn out, then we're going to take our scissors and cut. We're going to cut along that line, and hopefully my lines are straight. There we go, like that. And then I usually flip them up so that I can get a good cut off of here. Now this is a trick that we use with a lot of file folders, folios, is to kind of make room for this fold to take place. Okay, it makes it really easy because it's not impeding this score line at all. All right, if you would just cut like a small tiny slit, then sometimes it gets hung up on the fold. But by going past just a tiny bit, you open that up. All right, so they are now all cut down here, leaving nice, good amount of room from each score line. Now the next thing, if you're going to distress, now's the time to distress it, and you will want to distress all of the edges, every edge that you can see. And of course, these middle flaps are flipping up, so I probably won't distress right along here, and these are going this way. But you know what, if you're not sure how you want your flaps to be, then I would just distress all the edges, back and front. So that's what I'm going to be doing off camera, and we'll be right back. The edges have all been inked. Love this color. I like the way, I love the color on white, and I'm having a good time working with white, although I don't do it very often, so it's kind of a challenge that I'm happy to take up. And so now let's talk about cutting out the papers. So I did print out this page. I liked this one, and whatever page you like or whatever kind of paper you have, decide what part of it you'd like to have on the front. And of course I love these trees, so we're going to have this for the front. Then we have to think about what kind of a border do we want. How large of a border do you want to show? Some people like it almost to the edge, some people like to leave a little bit. I like to leave a little bit, and the reason I'm leaving this much is because I do want the white to show through. And so that's my graphic. I want it there. I'm going to turn my paper over because I want to mark on the back side. Line up the border I want on the side and bottom, and then I just put a tick mark where that needs to be cut off to match up that border. And so for me, this ended up being 2 5/8 by 6 inches. So that's what my measurement was, but yours could vary for sure, especially this one up here could vary. But anyways, that is how I determined that. And of course, do the same for the back where you want it. Now, when you cut off the two sides, there's going to be this lovely middle left. And this middle we're going to use to make journaling cards. So you don't want to lose that part of it. Now, as far as the wash paper goes, this, I cut this like in this pattern. So there's only two sides because you've got your front and back, and then you've got these two sides out here for journaling. Oh, maybe I should show you on the one that's been completed. So these two sides here are the only sides that it needs to cover the whole panel. And so for those, I went ahead and, cut those two panels out. I also cut out, while I was at it, I cut out the same measurement all across my paper. So this is like 2 5/8 all the way across the width of my panel. And then on this portion here, I cut out the sides. Now the pocket backgrounds, which are back here, do not have to be this long because you're not going to see it. So therefore, after I made the 2 5/8, I could just cut that section in half so that each one of these will fit behind the 4 pockets. So this 1, 2, 3, 4. In this way, you're able to use one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper to get out the backgrounds there. So that is just the way I arranged it. Hopefully that will be helpful for you. And so now, and then you'll want to cut out all of these little pockets here and decide which one you'd like to use. You're only going to be using 4 of them, so you can decide which ones you like. So you'll need to cut those out. And then I took one of the pages and I reduced it to a 5 by 7 print. So in my printer, I have 8 by 10, I have full size, I have 4 by 6s. So this is the 5 by 7 setting. and I printed it out on a cardstock. So this is going to be work as tags for us for the inside. So let me get these cut out and I will be back. So once you have all your background papers all glued down, we're going to glue the pockets up. And when you do, just make sure you put a real thin line of glue. Try not to make this too thick because it just will make the pocket smaller for your tag. So just put a nice little line right on each edge. And then of course close it up and rub it down, make sure that it adheres. So now we have our 4 pockets inside here. And now to determine the tags, I just cut a piece of cardstock and I cut it, I think these are 2 1/4 inches wide. But the key is that you want to allow room for the glue line here on each side. And I just start out with, I just guessed it and then experimented, you know, how well would that measurement go in, and if I have to cut it down, I'll cut it down again. And that way I can get the measurement for the tags and journal cards. So it was 2 1/4 for me, and it might be less for you. If you feel that these pockets are like, you know, really, really super tight, what you can do that is kind of helpful, you can come in with a bone folder or something that's flat and not, you can even use your knife and just kind of work it up a little bit. Just kind of like gently stretch the paper a little bit, and that will help ease the in and out of your tag. Now these here was part of that 5x7 card. If you remember, we had a 5x7 card that I cut up, and I cut out the strip that I wanted the tag to look like. I mounted it onto some, oh no, this is, I printed this on cardstock, so this didn't have to be mounted. So this is on cardstock. So this, we will trim the edges up there. So here's a trick that you may not be familiar with if you're new to crafting. And that is taking an old rewards card. Oh, I had it right here. Oh, there it is, sorry. Some kind of an old rewards card, hotel key, credit card, whatever, and cutting off an angle on, you know, one of the edges. And I have different size angles for different size tags. So this is a smaller angle here. And aligning this up to, let's see, yeah, I guess it'd be top. The top, you line it up here, and you line it up on the side like so, and snip it off, and then you reverse the card and you do the same on this side. So for me, this is quick and easy and much more uniform to get the little angles on each side. Then what I also like to do is I like to just cut these corners off, just snip them off just a tiny, tiny bit, because I don't know, I like it. I think it looks a little bit more clean. And of course we need to ink around it really fast. And now we're going to be punching a hole, and I'm going to be using a regular size hole punch to get the office store. And you'll want to put one in the middle of your tag, and I'm just eyeing it up like so. And then you can just purchase regular hole reinforcers. And if you take your distress ink in a brush, like a makeup brush, and you dip in distress ink and go over it, you can kind of make them this nice and, you know, vintage shade. And you can put that over your hole here. Oh, and then I always forgot to, I glue them on because I want to make sure they stay on. And sometimes I just don't know how well these really stick. So there's our hole, and we will put a ribbon through it. And if I'm using a ribbon or a cloth of some sort, I like to glue the knot just to make sure it stays. So I'll tie the first part of the knot down. I'll put glue right up here on top of that tie area. I'll make the second tie. Try not to get into that glue, and then just pinch it nice. Kind of work that glue into both of those sides there. And just come up here. And then here is our 2 tags for the middle of our folio. And then for these here, I make little journaling cards. So this was the middle portion of that front. It sat in the middle of that collage page. And I've made 2 pieces of cardstock that I want to be for journaling cards, and made sure, of course, they fit. And I am basically just going to glue the cardstock, making sure I get the edges. That's where, you know, it has a tendency to lift if you don't get to the edge. Determine if I want to go up and down or sideways. I guess I'll go up and down. And just glue this, and match up the edges on the 2 sides, one long and one short side. And then come in, of course, and cut. And you can use your paper cutter, you can use your scissors. Usually it's easy to feel where that ridge of the cardstock is. All right, and so here's our little journaling card. And then I did print out another sheet of the really lovely wash paper. And just for variety's sake, I'm just going to come in here and tear a little piece of it off like so. And glue that down here just to give it a little bit of a design, added design. Of course, you have to be careful that you don't add anything bulky to your tag or journal card unless it's going to sit above the pocket, because it'll be hard to put it in and out otherwise. So here is this here, just to give it a little bit of variety. So there you go, there's that one doing, and I'll do the other one off camera. But then here is your journaling card that's going to sit inside there. So now let's go ahead and finish out the cover, or the closure, I should say. Now I'm using string. Now if you wanted to, you could have used ribbon and glued it down before you put the top panel over it, of course. But because I'm using string, I didn't want to glue the paper over the string because there would be this ridge. So I'm cutting a length of about 25 inches, I think, about that, of string. And I am going to anchor it in the middle. This is just to tack it down. So I'll put, I know, a little bit of glue there and anchor that string right there, and kind of press down, let it partially dry, or at least so it catches. And we're just putting it there to anchor that down. And then you're going to want to get a little piece of cloth. And I'm just using muslin that's been tea stained. You could use lace. You could use some kind of a decorative cotton fabric, whatever you want to put over here. And I'm going to glue that along the spine. So first of all, I'm going to glue the front portion. So I'm going to apply the glue like this and cover about this much there, I think. Put a little extra around that string area and over the string. I have hand ripped this so the edges are nice and raggedy. All right, and put that down right like so. And then make sure that, you know, if there's any place where the edges need a little extra glue, and kind of go in like that. Okay. I think this is about 1 inch wide, maybe 1 1/4 inches. We're going to glue up the spine area. Pay attention to that little string. Come on over. And then finish up here on this side. Like that. So I'm using glitter glue for this project. It's a stick glue would not work well, so you need some kind of a liquid white craft glue to do this, so that really will hold, you know, make it hold well. There we have it, and we'll just cut off the end. And it's finished. How cute. Yeah, this is very, very cute. So that is the project. And these little guys just make nice little gifts for Happy Mail. You could put a lot of winter ephemera inside of it, fussy cuts, or you could use this as an addition to a journal as well. And I also wanted to show you one that I did with another kit, with a journal kit that she has in her shop, and it's called Autumn Love. And in case autumn is on your mind, I wanted to show you that particular little kit that I made, and the same principles. I applied the same principles to them. She's got like 6 to 8 pages, I think. And 2 of them are ephemera and fussy cuts and pockets. These beautiful pockets here. Aren't these deer stunning? So I put the pockets here on the side. And this is kind of the way that I, so far, and they got these little tags come with it. So cute. Just so cute. This is the way that I set this one up. And put some cloth with some fall leaves there on the side. So this is just another idea if you happen to want to do fall. So this one is in her shop too. I'm going to put links down below to both of the kits and the paper that I made these with. So thank you so much for watching. Please consider visiting her shop, and please subscribe, as I'm going to have some more projects come along, and I would like to connect with you again. So we will talk to you later. Bye.